Listen to me very carefully. I'm telling you right now, the truth is harsher, more violent, and more final than anything you are seeing on the evening news. You need to see this right now because what happened in the last hour isn't just another exchange of fire. It is the end of an era. The impenetrable shield has been shattered, and the people running the show in Washington are terrified that you'll find out just how defenseless we've become. In my time as a Marine Corps intelligence officer, I learned to look past the propaganda and focus on the data. I've analyzed theater level conflicts for decades, from the Cold War to the sands of Iraq, and the data I am seeing from my sources on the ground right now indicates a total systemic failure of Western military dominance. As I speak, the skies over the Negev are orange, not from the sunrise, but from the cascading secondary explosions of hardened sites that were supposed to be unreachable. I want you to imagine the sound. It's not the sharp crack of a firework. It's a low frequency rumble that vibrates in your chest, the sound of Mach 7 hypersonic signatures tearing the atmosphere apart. There is the smell of cordite and scorched earth drifting across the Mediterranean, and the flickering communication lines coming out of Tel Aviv tell a story of absolute chaos. Stay with me, because the most shocking part of this, the actual smoking gun that proves the Pentagon has lost control, is coming in just a moment. But first, you have to understand the technical reality of what just occurred. The mainstream media is telling you that the defense is held. They are lying. We are looking at Wave 55 of Operation True Promise, and it was a masterclass in saturation tactics. Having studied Iranian missile doctrine for years, I knew this day was coming, but even I am stunned by the precision. They didn't just throw flying lawnmowers at the problem. They used a sophisticated multi-tiered strike package designed to force a mathematical collapse of the Aegis and Patriot systems. Think about the math. We are firing SM-3 interceptors that cost $10 million to $30 million a pop. We are using THAAD batteries and Patriot PAC-3 MSE missiles that are finite in number. Iran is saturating the airspace with $50,000 drones and decoy projectiles. But that was just the bait. While the billion-dollar radar arrays were busy tracking the slow movers, the Fata-1 and Fata-2 hypersonics were already in the terminal phase. My sources are confirming that the ANTPY-2 radar systems, the literal eyes of the American defense posture in the region, were saturated to the point of blindness. When you have 100 targets on a screen and only 20 interceptors in the tubes, you don't have a defense. You have a target-rich environment for the enemy. The air is thick with the smell of burning jet fuel at Nevatim Air Base. I'm seeing reports of massive craters on the primary runways rendered unusable for F-35 sorties. This is theater-level paralysis. But it doesn't stop there. As the tactical strikes land, we are seeing the beginning of the regional escalation that the elites in D.C. promised would never happen. This is the stress response loop in action. It starts with a tactical strike on a military base, but it's moving toward a regional conflagration that will fundamentally alter the way you live your life. If you think this is just a desert war far away, you are gravely mistaken. The escalation ladder is being climbed at a blistering pace. We have moved from a tactical exchange to a regional blockade. The Straits of Hormuz are the jugular vein of the global economy, and that vein is being constricted as we speak. This is where it hits home for every American watching this. The petrodollar, the very foundation of American hegemony, and the reason your dollar has any value at all, is tied to the stability of these oil routes. When the unthinkable happens and the straits are closed, you aren't looking at $4 or $5 gas. You are looking at $15 gas. You are looking at a supply chain collapse that will make the pandemic look like a minor inconvenience. Your bank account is directly linked to the flight path of those Iranian missiles. The elites don't want you to connect those dots because they want you compliant until it's too late to move your assets. Stay focused, because I am going to reveal the specific piece of intelligence the Pentagon is trying to bury by the end of this briefing, a piece of data that proves the U.S. Navy is currently being outmatched in the Red Sea and beyond. Look at the logistics. I've spent years looking at the industrial capacity of the Russian and Iranian defense sectors. While we were offshoring our manufacturing and focusing on woke sensitivity training in the military, they were building missile cities deep underground. We are talking about hundreds of miles of tunnels hardened against nuclear strikes capable of launching thousands of projectiles per hour. We don't have the magazine depth to fight this war. If we deplete our interceptor stocks in 3 days of fighting Iran, what do we have left for the South China Sea? What do we have left for the defense of the homeland? The answer is nothing. We are being disarmed in real time through a war of attrition we cannot win. The psychology of the decision makers in the Pentagon right now is one of pure, unadulterated panic. I know these people. I've sat across the table from them. They are neoconservative ideologues who have never seen the business end of a rifle. They believe their own press releases. They thought the Iranians were backward and incapable. They forgot the primary rule of intelligence: never underestimate your adversary. Iran has spent 30 years studying how we fight. They watched us in Iraq, they watched us in Afghanistan, and they found the Achilles heel. They realized that you don't need to sink a carrier. You just need to make the cost of operating that carrier so high that the American public demands it be brought home. I feel a deep sense of grief for the young Marines and sailors currently stationed in the Eastern Mediterranean. They are being used as human tripwires for a policy that has no exit strategy. I remember the smell of the deck of a ship in a high-tension zone, the ozone, the salt, the quiet hum of the electronics. But that hum is a death knell when you're facing Mach 10 signatures that your radar can't lock onto until they've already cleared the horizon. We are sending our best against a threat we refused to acknowledge until the missiles were already in the air. It makes me angry. It should make you angry. And it should make every patriot in this country demand to know why we were lied to about our technological superiority. Now let's go deeper into the technical specificity. The Hajj Qasim ballistic missile, named after the man the U.S. assassinated, has a range and a circular error probable. That's the accuracy. For those of you who don't speak the lingo, that is terrifyingly small. We are talking about hitting a specific building from 1,400 kilometers away. During Wave 55, we saw the deployment of sub-munitions designed to shred the delicate electronics of the Iron Dome batteries before the main warheads even arrived. This is a blind and strike maneuver. If you take out the ELM 2084 multi-mission radars, the entire defense architecture becomes a collection of very expensive lawn ornaments. As the regional war expands, we are seeing the realization of the Ring of Fire strategy. This isn't just Iran, this is a synchronized multi-axis assault from Lebanon, from Yemen, from Iraq, from Syria. The Aegis system was designed to fight the Soviet Union in the open ocean. It was never designed to defend a small, densely populated strip of land from a 360-degree saturation attack involving thousands of asymmetric threats. When the smoke clears from this morning's strikes, the image of the invincible regional power will be gone forever. I told you there was a smoking gun. I told you there was something the Pentagon didn't want you to see. My sources have provided me with the telemetry data from a specific engagement involving a U.S. Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. For the first time in history, an American warship had to maneuver to avoid a direct hit because its interceptors failed to achieve a kinetic kill on a maneuvering hypersonic target. Do you understand what that means? The impenetrable naval screen has been pierced. The U.S. Navy is no longer the master of the seas in the face of these new technologies. They are scrubbing this from the record because if the American people realize our carriers are floating coffins in a high-intensity conflict with Iran, the entire house of cards falls down. And why does it fall down? Because of the unthinkable. We are now 3 steps away from the nuclear threshold. This is the final stage of the stress response loop. When a conventional power like the U.S. or its allies realizes they cannot win a conventional war of attrition, the doctrine calls for de-escalation through escalation. That is a fancy way of saying tactical nukes. We are closer to a scorched earth scenario in the Middle East than at any point since 1973. The sirens you hear in the background of those grainy cell phone videos from Haifa aren't just for a drone strike. They are the heralds of a potential global catastrophe. The elites in Washington, the ones who haven't seen a factory floor or a foxhole in their lives, think they can manage this. They think they can dial the tension up and down like a thermostat. They are wrong. War has a logic of its own. Once the first Mach 7 missile hits a command center, The logic of the neocons goes out the window and the logic of survival takes over. You need to prepare for the economic fallout now. If the petrodollar dies because the US can no longer guarantee the security of the oil producing states, the value of the paper in your wallet becomes meaningless. We are talking about a 40% overnight devaluation of the US dollar. Your 401k, your savings, your ability to buy food, all of it is tied to a global order that just suffered a massive visible defeat in the skies over the Middle East. Stay with me because I'm going to tell you exactly how this ends. It doesn't end with a peace treaty mediated by the UN. It ends with a fundamental redrawing of the map. The mainstream narrative will try to pivot. They will start talking about strategic repositioning and tactical withdrawals. Don't believe them. Use your eyes. Look at the data. Look at the sheer volume of fire that was directed at the heart of the Western defense posture and ask yourself, if we couldn't stop this, what else can't we stop? I've analyzed these theater level conflicts for decades. I saw the failures in intelligence before the Iraq War. I saw the collapse of the Afghan National Army months before it happened. And I am telling you now with the same professional certainty, the balance of power has shifted. The era of American unipolarity died this morning. The reality on the ground is that we are overextended, undersupplied, and led by people who are more interested in their own power than the survival of this republic. The smoke is still rising over the Negev, the sirens are still wailing, the smell of cordite is still thick in the air, and as the world watches the unbeatable shields fail, you have to decide if you're going to keep listening to the people who lied to you or if you're going to look the truth in the face. The truth is harsh, the truth is urgent, and the truth is that this is just the beginning. Iran is just getting started, and the devastation we've seen in the last hour is only a preview of the unthinkable to come. I will continue to monitor the sensor data. I will continue to speak with my sources in the intelligence community who are tired of the lies, and I will continue to bring you the reality that the elites want to scrub from your screens. Keep your eyes open. The world is changing faster than the news can keep up with. Be ready, because the next wave isn't just coming, it's already here, and the radar is silent. The smoking gun I mentioned, it's not just a missed intercept. It's the fact that the US command and control in the region has gone into dark mode. They've cut off the feeds to the civilian sectors because they can't admit that the great Satan is currently vulnerable. I've seen the reports of localized mutinies among the proxy forces. I've seen the panic in the diplomatic cables. This is it. This is the moment history turns. Don't let them tell you otherwise. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and for God's sake, stay alert. The reality is far more dangerous than they will ever admit. But you know the truth now. You've seen the data, and the data doesn't lie. The world has changed. Now you have to decide how you're going to live in it.